Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 161. Aaron, we had a kind of an interesting week of games here. Now, kind of the theme that we've been going for here for this season has been entertaining, but picking up L's, going for the sweepstakes, if you will, for the draft here. And I think more or less the Sharks kind of accomplished all things this week. So not a bad week, all things considered. But before we get in and start talking about those, I want to say thank you for all the people that are joining us right now. If you can, please like the stream. If you can retweet us on Twitter, if you can share us on Facebook, do all those things. Get us out to your Sharks friends and family. Get them in here. Get them talking with us. We really love having the interactions with you guys. Getting the comments to bounce off is a lot of fun. If you'd like to support the show, by the way, you can do that by using the super chat, or you can do Venmo at the Fin Factor. And if you have a comment there, we'll go ahead and call it out live during the show here. And all good things there. So let's go ahead and kick this off, Aaron. Sharks against Vegas Golden Knights. Now, obviously, there's kind of, I think Shark fans really look back to that playoff run all the time. Whenever we play against Vegas Golden Knights, it always comes back to that game. That's that fond memory. And ever since then, we've kind of just been getting slaughtered. So, take us away here. The Sharks pick up the W and they do it in regulation, something that they haven't been able to do much of this season so far, but they do it against Vegas, and man, does it feel nice.
Yeah, it was the third regulation win of the season, and here we are at almost Thanksgiving Day. It was a good win. I thought the Sharks played really well, and they seemed to really, one of the few, I guess, full 60-minute games, really, where they looked good the whole time, and they were fun to watch again. So, and they got the win, obviously, which made it feel even better. I didn't pull a clip from this, but Timo Meier was interviewed after the game, and there was a couple of Vegas media that were in the scrum, and one of the very first questions I think that he took was like the media guy. I don't even know who he is, but he was just like, yeah, on talk radio, everyone's like, oh yeah, the Sharks aren't really our biggest rival anymore because they're just not so good and it's not fun, and we just keep beating up on them. And I was like, wow. And you can see Timo's reaction is kind of like, really? Like, kind of messed up. But the quote was better coming from the question than it was from Timo's reaction, so I didn't put it in here. But yeah, I think I love, like, I think I even said, like, last week, I don't care if the Sharks lose every game except beat Vegas for the rest of the season. I think it's just fantastic. Knocks them down a few notches. They are still the number one team in the West. There's two teams in the East that are better than for overall in the league, but they are, I guess, got to eat some humble pie here by the Sharks, which always feels fantastic. I love it. Absolutely. I'm here for it.
Love it. So, we do actually have a clip here. This is Coach Quinn answering that question if this is the biggest win of the year. So I don't know if, Aaron, there's anything else you wanted to say about this clip, or we could just go ahead and kick it off here.
Yeah, this is Coach Quinn, and he was asked if this is the biggest win of the year. So here's what his reaction was.
I would say that just because we had an opportunity to win a road trip against arguably the best team in the National Hockey League, and to come in here and get the 2 points in the fashion that we did. A real sluggish first period, probably as slow and as lethargic as we've looked in a while. And then started getting better in the second, and played a really good third period.
Yeah, definitely nice to see the Sharks kind of pick up momentum during this game. A lot of times we see them maybe playing well, as in the next game we're going to talk about, playing well and then kind of falling off of a cliff here. But in this game, they kind of ramped up and they played better as the game went on. So Coach Quinn alluding to that during this game here. So, we had the Teal City Crew event during this thing as well. Now, I don't know if you want to go jump straight into that. There was something about the game you wanted to talk about, but I'll go ahead and give you the floor here. Fire away.
Sure. We got invited to the Teal City Crew watch party. And this was it S27? There we go. S27 Ale House in San Jose. It's kind of a new spot. And there were probably, I want to say 40 to 50 people there. I didn't get the exact number, but it was a good turnout. And I actually ran into one of my son's classmates and parents there. So we were talking, I think, the entire second period. So that was cool. And they're fans of the show. So I got to hang out and get out on a Tuesday night, which is kind of rare. But I thought we had a good time. There's a lot of raffle prizes here. And this was actually Teal City's first event post-COVID. So it was cool to be there for that. There's a good look at everything there. And I think I had a good time. Oh, there we go. There's the jersey, the jersey that I won. So there was a raffle ticket for every food item or drink that you purchased, alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And we had a good time. Here's a good shot of us afterwards at the brewery here. So we had a good time with those guys, and looking forward to doing some more events with them. So it was a good time. Did you have fun?
I had a great time. Actually, it was awesome. So a lot of folks had mentioned, "Hey, is Paul okay?" Because they saw me. I looked a lot thinner than the last couple seasons, and yes, it is. My diet's entirely changed. And so that's kind of been a problem, but going to this event, it was really a problem because they had such amazing food that was there. Normally they would have kind of like a taco truck thing going on, but they had like this whole lumpia and Filipino type food and everything. It was just amazing. It really tasted well. I kind of had to give up my diet for that night, to be honest with you. They had a lady there with cookies, and I wish I could remember the name of her place, but I'm sure somebody will remind me of it and I'll be able to say the name. I think it was Nosh or Nash, something like that. Just amazing home baked cookies and everything that she did. Really awesome stuff. The raffle was hilarious, actually, because there was one lady there who kept saying, "Gosh, I'm not winning anything." And she was vocal about it. I think she was just razzing him, though, Curtis, the guy who was running the show there. So, Aaron, as you saw in that picture, Aaron had won the jersey. Super producer Jason actually picked up a couple bobbleheads, which is really cool. And then I went up to pull the ticket for the Fin Factor hat and t-shirt that we were raffling off, donating to them to go ahead and do the raffle. And as I'm up there pulling the ticket out, he reads the number off. I look over at super producer Jason. He's giving me a look like, "Oh no, we want our own hat and shirt." So what super producer Jason did, he walked over to that lady that was being a little vocal. Not that she was complaining, but she was just making it funny that it was, she wasn't winning anything. So he gives her the ticket. I go, "Hey, congrats, you won." And I handed her our merch. That there was a picture there with one gentleman that had the hat on. He was with that lady. There it is. And he said, "Yeah, can we get a picture?" Absolutely. So we all took a picture together. Really fun stuff. Really awesome night. Big thank you to Teal City Crew for putting that together. If you're not following them and checking out the events that they have, I highly recommend it. There were a lot of giveaways that they did during this raffle. Really cool stuff. By the way, those two bobbleheads, the super producer Jason won. We ended up giving those to a kid that was there who really liked the look of it. So the Fin Factor, giving back. So there you go. Really, really awesome event, Aaron. What'd you think?
I thought it was fun. I'd never been to that brewery either, so that was the first for me. And I'll definitely be back. They had some good beers on tap. They had a couple ciders, and they even had root beer, non-alcoholic, a regular root beer on tap. And I don't know if you've had root beer on tap or anyone else on the show that has had root beer, but it's worth it. It's way better on tap than it is just out of a soda fountain or anything else. So it was great. It was a good time.
Absolutely. And super producer Jason, help me out. Ganache Confectionery. If you have the opportunity to check her out, her cookies are absolutely amazing. Highly recommend the Cookie Monster. It's all blue cookie. It's phenomenal. And again, thank you so much to S27 for hosting the event that Teal City Crew put on. Okay, moving on. Oh, you know what? I got to read this off. Noah, I don't know. You're clowning me here. Paul's dieting because he knows he's going to have to suit up once Karlsson is traded. Buddy, there is no way. The only thing I'm suiting up with is maybe a suit and a tie to look good behind the bench to help them when they throw their gloves at the guys. I can catch them. That's about all I can do. Okay.
You're like John McCarthy.
Yeah. Let's see. So we got Ben and Guzri, actually another comment here. Now we are playing very well. EK65 starts to come around by blowing his tires a couple of games in a row. Yeah, what an effect for a tank card for Bedard. Well, you know what? It was funny because he hadn't done that like ever, right? And then the very next game he does it a second time. Hey man, who knows? You know, it's going to happen every once in a while to the best players in the world, and he certainly falls into that category. So speaking of Erik Karlsson, the Sharks against the Detroit Red Wings, they lose by a score of 7-4. This is a wasted effort by a San Jose Sharks. Erik Karlsson played great that game, had 4 points, a goal and 3 assists, and they just flush it down the drain, man. Like they actually, this is again one of those games where it was the opposite of the Vegas game. They started off really well, they played well, and then the third period they just kind of collapse. So it was a shame. You know, you look at the scoreboard and it's like, it's a tight game, and then all of a sudden they put up 4 against the Sharks in the third period there. So Aaron, I don't know, man. What do you think? Like, what was the difference in this game that they play a great team like Vegas and they start off slow and then they pick up steam and they end up beating them in regulation. And then they play a team like Detroit, who's not exactly horrible, but certainly not on the same caliber as Vegas is. And they have this, starting high and fall down and collapse. So what's your take on that?
I mean, Detroit is a good team. They're in the top half of the league. So they're not at the bottom. They're not losing to Arizona Coyotes team here. But I thought they should have won this game. There's a lot of games. We're going to get to this in a little bit, but there's a lot of games that have happened this season that are exactly like this, where they look like the better team, the Sharks do. They just can't put it together, can't score, but also makes too many mental mistakes where the other team comes back. And this game is a game of inches. And I mean, even just looking at the very first goal where David Perron slots the puck all the way across the ice to, I think it was, that wasn't the Sider goal. That was the other one. Hold on, I'm looking this up real quick because I have it right here. Hronek. He slid it right over to Hronek. Timo Meier, just for a split second, has his head not on a swivel, like Drew Ramirez always yelling, like head on a swivel. He wasn't looking around, and right behind him, Hronek goes right in behind him and gets the puck and just buries it on kind of, I guess, the near side because Reimer couldn't get across in time. So just like a little mistake like that cost you a goal. Like, have your stick on the ice, look around where you're supposed to be covering the defenseman, and he pinched in right behind you. So Sharks need to get rid of those like small mistakes, and they are going to be a better team. They're going to be a good team. So this game it was exciting. That's a lot of goals in a hockey game. You don't normally see that in a late November game. That's like early October when teams are kind of feeling each other out here. So, like I said, I want the Sharks to lose, but also be entertaining. And I was heavily entertained in this game. I mean, are you kidding? When was it Couture tied it? Or Karlsson tied it? Couture made it within 1, and then Karlsson tied it. Like, place was going nuts. And it felt like an old school Sharks game when they were, good. So it felt good. It feels good. But then, they ended up losing it. So I'm kind of like, well, okay, closer to Bedard. So I'm fine with it. I don't mind as much. This season to me is already lost. So when they lose, to me, I'm like a parent teaching my young kids to learn from this. Like, here's a learning, whatever. Here's a learning chance for you to figure out what you should be doing better and fix those mistakes. And I feel like next season, that's where it's all going to come together.
Fair enough. In the next game against the Rangers, again, we talked about where they started off poor and then they ramped up against Vegas. They started off, better against Detroit and then kind of fell off the map. This game here in New York, not in New York, sorry, against New York, 0-0 all the way through the third period with only 6 minutes left. They were in this game back and forth battling with this team. Now, this is a team that is in that contender status, right? I mean, New York's a very good team. And for them to go all the way through almost 3 entire periods of hockey and no score back and forth, they held them. Reimer stood on his head. Like, a lot went well in this game. It's just that last 6 minutes, right? So I don't know. You get a little bit of everything with this team. You can get them starting off hot and then falling off. You can get them kind of building from nothing. You can get an even game back and forth. And it could be against good teams or bad teams. It's all over the map, right? And it really does speak to the parity in the league when teams can do this. It's a lot of teams, fans will say, well, how is it that we can beat this team that's really good, but then lose this team that's really not? And to me, it's not about where you are there. It's more like rock, paper, scissors. Any individual team can be the weakness, the kryptonite for any other individual team, right? And in this case, the Sharks did a really good job against the New York Rangers, not just because the Sharks are that great of a team, but they were doing something right in this game that kept New York off the score sheet. And that something was they played James Reimer. He stood on his head. He was absolutely amazing in this game. 41 saves on 42 shots faced. I mean, this guy, I hope that he gets traded to a team that needs him by the end of the season, or by the trade deadline, because he absolutely 100% deserves to play for a contender. I can't say enough about the guy. Honestly, if there was going to be a turnaround in this season and they were going to take off and become a bubble team, it would be because of the play of Reimer and Karlsson. The two of them would will the team to a bubble. But I don't know. Anyway, what do you think? Tell me about this game. Tell me about what you saw out of Reimer. Take it away.
He's defensive MVP by far. I mean, Karlsson's the offensive MVP, but this team would not be even close to where they are right now without Reimer. There's no question about it, and they know it too. I think he's winning and stealing some games and keeping them in him. I mean, the Ranger game, the steal that he had, the rob. So they're already down 1-0, and the Sharks kind of looked a little bit listless, and they had this glorious chance. It was VC shot it, so the puck goes all the way across. Reimer reaches out and gloves it, just a desperation save, and catches it in his glove. He didn't just stop it; he caught it in his glove. I mean, you know what it reminded me of, and I don't even remember if you remember this, but Evgeny Nabokov against Dallas.
Oh yeah, Richardson,
man, early 2000s.
No. Was it Brad Richards? Was it?
Yeah, in double overtime, same exact save. They went to the replay to see if his glove went over the goal line.
Yep. And
it did not. It was just a miraculous save. But the Sharks ended up losing that one. I think Brendan Morrow scored the winner, but that was just a dagger because the Sharks should have won that game. But same situation here. Sharks are down 1-0, and it was off of a tip. That's what finally beat them. Then they pull Reimer, and Karlsson makes a terrible pass that goes right back into the end of the net after a couple circus misses by the New York Rangers. And then the Sharks score one with, how much time was left? 15 seconds or so?
Yeah.
So it almost like the game sounds a little closer than it was, saying it was 2-1. The Sharks did have a chance, though, with 3 seconds left. They Couture again almost buried another chance, like just luckily happened to go on a stick. But again, this is a team, the Rangers are a team that's a cup favorite here. So I think they wanted a little revenge because they lost to the Sharks when the Sharks were in New York in October. They lost to them in overtime. So I think they wanted to do right and put this, because they knew the Sharks were going to be a tough team. I think that might be part of the other problem. Like these teams that are on the higher end of things, I think they take the Sharks a little too lightly. And I think that's where they get into trouble and why the Sharks are able to beat them. But the Sharks also play up to their opponent, and they play down to the ones that are down at their level. So we can talk about this too, the Carpenter hit, because DJA27 said the Carpenter hit should have been a major penalty. When I first saw it, I was like, ooh, that was just an unlucky kind of circumstance kind of hit. I didn't think it was dirty, but then I saw the replay and I was like, no, he definitely dropped his shoulder and hit him in the numbers and drove his head into the boards. I think that absolutely is dirty and should have been a major penalty. And I can't remember if it was Drew or if it was Brett Hedican, because they both talked about it, but they said that should be reviewable.
Yes,
if that between a 2-minute and a 5-minute, that should be reviewable. Now, I don't really love having too many replays, because you see other sports do it and it just sucks the life out of games when they're sitting there for 5 minutes. But this, I feel like, could be something that Toronto just automatically is reviewing right then and there, and they call in and say, hey, that should be a 5-minute. That gives the referees on the ice a little bit of a breather and less to think about and having to go on a headset and looking at the TV. Like have Toronto just look at it right away. Boom. Call it in. Say, hey, nope, that's wrong. Let's talk. I want to see what you saw on the ice, or hear what you said, or hear what you saw on the ice, and then kind of talk it over. But I don't know if that will be something that will change, because a Carpenter hit on a Nico Sturm hit or a head doesn't cause big changes to the rules. But if this were a superstar player getting hit like that, absolutely it would be. So I think it should have been a major. I think he should have been fined at the least. I don't think any of that happened. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
We're going to continue on here. I just want to call out a couple comments that we will get back to. I'm the Beat Plug 831 saying, why trade Karlsson when you know we're not getting anything back? Stick around. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on in the show. And then Eddie, I'm going to read Eddie's comment after we get done with this clip here. You've got a clip of Nico Sturm's assessment of the team after 20 games. Set us up with this one, and then let's just kind of kick back and hear what he has to say.
Sure. This is, I love using clips of Nico Sturm because he is so well spoken. So this was the question posed to him was, what's his assessment after 20 games? And we always look at this right around Thanksgiving time, which is this week, of where the team is in relation to both the division and overall. So here's his assessment on how the team is doing this season.
I think that every time we do play, close to 60-minute effort, we've been able to hang with pretty much every team. We saw it against the Carolinas, Florida, Mini, Vegas. We won in New York again tonight, close game. So, we gotta find a way to sway those games in our direction. And maybe score a goal with 5-6 minutes left instead of giving one up, right? So, again, we're pretty close, but we gotta find a way to get a couple more points in the bank in those tight games.
He's not wrong, right?
No, absolutely. No, and I like that we keep pulling clips from him because, like you said, the guy is he's honest. He doesn't kind of filter it for the media. He just tells you how it is. Tells it how it is.
He sounds like a coach. He doesn't sound like a player. He sounds like a coach talking.
Absolutely. This
Very
is
smart.
This is if not captain, this is alternate material for me. This guy. It's too bad that he's a third and fourth line type player, and those guys generally don't have a letter on their jersey because this is the type of guy that should be a leader. He's the leader, and I'd love to see him in a little bit bigger role, frankly, for the Sharks. So, I mean, honestly, he's for his role, he's been scoring quite a bit, right? I mean, how many goals did he have? Like 7 or 6, 7, something like that?
6 goals and 2 assists right now in 20 games.
For a guy being on the third line with guys who are not exactly goal scorers, right? I mean, he's doing a heck of a job, I think. So I would love to see him get a better opportunity, frankly. But I mean, it probably won't happen, and that's okay. But I think the guy deserves more for the player that he is on the ice and the guy that he is off the ice. He seems like a heck of a leader here. So anyway, that's Sturm. Now we're gonna give our assessment of the team. Now I'm gonna go back. To Eddie KS24. I understand this team is a work in progress. I think he means work in progress. That's okay. But how can any of you say this season is lost when 3 points out? What kind of fans are you weirdos? Well, you nailed it there. We're definitely weirdos. But so, buddy, we're 27th overall out of 32 teams, 27th overall.
The other thing is
6, 11, and 3. It's a total of 15 points. You're saying we're 3 points out, but we're at the very bottom of the league, buddy. I mean, there's not many teams below here. We've got 3 wins in regulation. Only 3 of our wins have come from in regulation here. We've had to go extra innings for every other bit of points that we've gotten so far this season. Like I don't know, buddy. I just don't think this is that team. And Aaron, I'm sure you have a lot to say, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you here, buddy.
You can't look at the points right now because the Sharks have more games played than I think every team in the league, save Los Angeles, looks like right now. So, yes, 3 points in the standings behind Calgary. However, Calgary has 3 games in hand, meaning they've played 3 less games. So even if they win 1 or 2 of those games, they are going to be even further ahead. So you have to look at win percentage. That's a better way to look at it. And right now, the only team worse than the Sharks in win percentage is the Anaheim Ducks. And just not to, pile on the Ducks, but I love it. So they are down, and it is almost Thanksgiving, and they still do not have a regulation win. Granted, they beat the Sharks, twice in a shootout, I believe.
Okay.
So still not in regulation, obviously. But they are below us in the standings. They do have 2 games in hand, so at best they could tie us in the standings.
I was going to say, to your point, they've played 2 less games than we have.
They're at 375 win percentage. The Sharks are right now. That is not good. So, no, I do not have hope for the Sharks to be able to pull this out. Basically, for them to jump so far ahead of other teams, they would need a lot of other teams to lose. But they would have to be playing at a team it's probably at like a 100-point pace right now. Like a team that would be 115-point pace or something ridiculous. That's the only way they're going to do it is if they're winning 5 of 6 games from here on out, practically. It's not happening. And it's not happening. We're watching it right now. It's not happening, right? This week, they won 1 of 3 games. It's just not in the cards. So, I'm a big Sharks fan. I love the Sharks. I'm also thinking long-term health of the Sharks. And the long-term health for them is to not be a bubble team or even a playoff team, because they will not go deep in the playoffs. They're just not there. They're not deep enough compared to other teams. They'll get swept in the first round, and then what? They'll have a 20th overall pick. That's not going to do it. It's not going to turn this team around. Getting a top 5 pick in this deep draft this year is going to do it. It'll do it quicker than anything else. So I'm at peace with that. And again, I'm happy with the entertaining hockey in the meantime, because I still love going to games. I still love watching them. They're scoring goals. It's not like they're getting blown out 7-1. It was 7-5 with empty net goals, So it's not, or was it 7-4? Anyway, I'm fine.
So yeah, the types of fan, what kind of weirdo fans? Okay, I would say for me, especially y'all know, I'm overly optimistic, like at all times with the Sharks, right? This season maybe a little bit more realistic. That's totally fine. But again, like Aaron's saying, we're kind of looking at what we think would be best for the team. We don't want them to lose because we're negative and we go, oh, they suck. I'm sure there's plenty of other places you can go and hear about how much the Sharks suck, right? That's not what we do here. We're just talking about the Sharks. It's just fun to talk about it, right? But yeah, I think Aaron's right here. You have to look at the long-term health of the team, and this is kind of what's going to be best for them, is to be able to draft very high up in the draft and be able to get someone who's going to help them out for years going forward, not just going out and trading that draft pick for somebody who can help you in the immediate, and then that makes you a bubble team, and then that's it, right? As he said, you end up trading that pick away. Now you don't even have that 20th anymore. Now your first pick is in the second round. We've seen the Sharks do that time and time again, and this is kind of why we're in the situation that we're in. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of it. So look, this season so far, as we've said, like from the beginning of the season, what we're really hoping for is fun, exciting hockey, that we'll still be able to get that high pick, right? In order to do that, obviously they have to lose. But I think what we've said too is they brought in these veterans, these players that are going to be able to work hard and not get rotated in and out of the lineup like the Barracuda players from last season, right? These are guys that are going to work hard all season long. They're going to make the game entertaining. And frankly, when it comes time for trade deadline, when the Sharks aren't a very good team, that's okay. Other teams are going to want these guys. They didn't want the Barracuda that we're getting through that revolving door, right? They're going to want these guys who are NHL veterans, like Bonino, like Sturm, like a guy like Cunnin, right? They're going to want these players, and that's going to build up that draft capital. So I think these are the things that are going to help us become a better team, not this season, but as time goes on in the future, and hopefully for a longer term in the future. So that's kind of what we're hoping for, what we're looking forward to. And if that means that this season is a sacrifice, well, then so be it. But hey, at least they're making it entertaining, which again is pretty much what we've been advocating for, if you will, since this show started this season, at least. Now, Aaron has a roll call question he wants to bring up for you guys. So get ready to start typing. Aaron,
Sure.
fire away.
All right, roll call. Tell us where you are watching from and tell us what your brief assessment is, as much as you can type into this YouTube chat, of the team this year. Are you happy? Are you upset? Or I don't know. Whatever you want to write. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, I like that because you know what? Then it gives me an opportunity to read the fans' thoughts. Like this is what we think about the team. I think I'd like to put that out there for everybody to kind of get their voice out there, get their voice heard. So there you go.
Look at Nicholas Egan here. I'm sure the Avalanche fans are still really upset that they were awful in 16 and 17 and had to draft some dude named Kale. Absolutely. They have the future Norris winning trophy defenseman for probably the next decade because of that 1 year. And they had a McKinnon that year. They already had McKinnon on their team. McKinnon and Landeskog. Like, they had the building blocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll call this out, but we're gonna be nice here. Ben saying, "Chill out, Eddie. Don't want to get stuck in the bubble zone over and over. If we not going to make the playoffs, and it is very unlikely, it's best to tank hard for Bedard." I mean, I agree with you, Ben. I think this season's kind of, we know it's gonna end poorly, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's all right. But yeah, let's just make sure that everybody's being nice to each other here. Just be kind, chat. It's all good. I will say, let's see. I'm the beat plug here. Says, I swear these goobers think we're just out of a playoff spot, just asking for mediocrity, eternity. No, absolutely. We don't want mediocrity eternity. We want mediocrity right now so that we can be supreme eternity as the season goes, or the years go on. That's kind of the goal, is to be able to rebuild and be better for many, many years by having homegrown talent, if you will, right? So that's what we're hoping for. Rebuild take a couple of years, but it had to happen. Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things that Mike Greer's not shying away from. That I will say I loved GM Doug Wilson. I liked what he did with the team. I like what his direction, what he was trying to do. But I think, kind of hindsight, we probably should have started that rebuild a little bit sooner. I would still like to see what GM Doug Wilson could have done had he kind of said, you know what, let's do a rebuild instead of a retool. Because I don't think we never saw that out of Doug Wilson. That was never in the cards, and frankly, it was rarely needed except for the last handful of years there. So it would have been very interesting to see what his version of a rebuilding team and the process to get there, what that would look like. So, Aaron, any comments here that you want to pull out before we move on to the Karlsson topic?
I mean, we can just look at some of these.
Sure.
Ben said, look at the big picture. No question our main goal is to win the cup. Do we see this team winning the cup now or in the near future? I think it depends. It depends. There's a lot that's going to happen in the next year. Are we moving Karlsson, which we'll talk about in a few minutes? Are we drafting Bedard? Are we getting some other player that's high in the top 5 picks coming up? Is the cap going up by $4 million next year? There's a lot of moving parts here. So winning a cup is hard to say, because look at the LA Kings when they won. They were the 8th seed. Do you think they were a cup favorite going into that season? Absolutely not. So to me, being a cup favorite is not where I'd want. Like, winning a cup, sure, but I want a team that's going to be competitive every night, or at least winning 3 of 4 games in a week, like that kind of level, going into playoffs and having a team built for playoffs, built to go deep, where they have a mix of grit, hardworking players, not just super skilled players, which is, I feel like, what they had in the last decade when they were a cup favorite, is a very highly skilled team, but not enough sandpaper in there. So I think Greer is kind of bringing that along. I mean, rightfully so. That's the kind of player he absolutely was. So he knows talent and what he wants to see the team play like. And I always, thought that, like, every time the Sharks, a decade ago would play a hardworking team, they were going to lose because they didn't want to get dirty.
I'm going to bomb through these questions here. Noah Claxton from San Diego saying, brief assessment, dumpster fire. Just kidding. I'm sorry. What is he saying? It is. I expected this. Noah, are you okay? First of all, can someone check if Noah's okay? Hoping for a high draft pick. Yes, absolutely. Granzier 12. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sure I am. I stream it free online. That's not what we meant by where are you watching from. We meant us. But thank you for
we are free online. So thank you. You're not bootlegging anything here.
He means the games. He's watching it free online. But anyway, poor folk here, he says, in Arizona. Not upset at all. It had to happen. Staying the course, was not going to win. Absolutely. That's kind of what we're saying. Matt Lowe, Castro Valley assessment. I want to watch quality, intense with some sandpaper, but I want to tank for the high pick so hard. Mixed bag of quality, but still on track. So, yeah, again, same thing that we're saying. Now, we got a couple of jokesters here. Patrick Rabal saying he's watching from his bed. Thank you, Patrick. And he's content with the level of play. Again, Nicholas Egan thinking he's at the comedy club. He's watching from the kitchen. I'm glad that the goal scoring has come along with Karlsson playing out of his mind. I know the team is going to be bad, but I still want to be entertained as much as possible. Again, echoing the sentiments heard on this show as well. So thank you so much for that. And Granzier is saying he just hopes that the new coaching staff can develop players. If the starter is great, but depth is just as fine. We always need third, fourth line forwards and third line defense. Yeah, anybody who can help this team at any depth, part of the depth chart, if you will, would be great, honestly. So we're looking forward to the years going forward and what the Sharks will be able to do after this season, quite frankly. So there you go. He's got a question here. May I ask a side question if I can? If they find out how Brian Marchman passed away. Aaron, do you know any of that? I think it was just that he passed away.
I think the only thing that I heard was he just passed away in his sleep. They just found him in his room and he just didn't wake up. So gotcha. I don't know if there was an autopsy. I don't think we've heard anything. My guess would be like maybe a heart attack. I don't know. I don't think it was anything nefarious, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. And speaking of health, Noah coming back, he is okay. He meant to say it is what it is. That's what it was. So he wasn't having a seizure. So that was good. Okay. Moving on from that, let's go ahead and bring up that topic that everybody's been talking about. Everybody's been talking about, not just everybody, but big names. Elliot Friedman was talking about this. Holy. What? Luke Cunningham. Yeah. Oh. We were supposed to say Luke Cunningham scored a goal. Super producer Jason is reminding us of that. Aaron, would you like to go back in time and fix that for us? Did Luke Cunningham score a goal? So we have to give super producer Jason the opportunity to use the slides that he's created, and we skipped over it, and I apologize, okay? I apologize, SPJ. There you go. Aaron, anything you want to say about the Cunningham goal?
He scored it in the Vegas game when we talked about that about 30 minutes ago. So, sorry. Completely forgot to mention.
Getting full use of his hard work. I'm not even all mad at him.
Pretty sure we'll never forget again.
There you go. Oh yeah, there's another slide that from the watch party. I don't know why he's bringing this up. Regardless, you know what? Granzier actually brought up something that I wish I would have remembered to bring up, and we'll go right back to the Karlsson thing. He says, "I thought you guys charged to watch you." This is going back to he was watching on streaming. He says, "Buy the merch or else." So yes, absolutely. If you'd like to support the show, please feel free to do that. You can go ahead to the finfactor.com. Check out the merch there. Support the show. We have t-shirts, hats, water bottles, stickers, hoodies. You saw Aaron wearing a hoodie. I'm sure Super Producer Jason will throw that up on screen at some point again here, but he had that hoodie on at the watch party. There's lots of stuff there. If you'd like to support the show, but you'll want to get something back in return, there it is. And the hat's on me too. If you want to get something back as you support the show, that's the place to go. Go ahead, pick up some merch. And certainly if you see us, say hi, get a picture with us. In fact, I believe we have a picture of a fan that stopped us during a game. Aaron, you want to say this was hilarious? Do you want to go ahead and tell this one?
This was from, I think, the season opener, right? Against
I think so.
Carolina. And we were meeting with some fans. We just said, yeah, we'll do a meetup out here. Come say hi. And we're hanging out with some people. And then this dude comes up and is like, hey, love the show. Can I get a picture? And we're like, sure. Takes a picture. He's like, all right, my wife's going to take the picture. His wife takes the picture. And then he just walks away. And we're like, okay, see you later. And I didn't even get a good look at his face because it was so fast. Like, okay. So anyway, he had sent us this picture and he was like, hey, it was me. Here's the picture. I heard you guys were looking for me. And he sent it to us on Instagram and it went to our spam folder. So I just saw it this week. He sent it like over a month ago. So here's James Federico, I think is how you say it, at the home opener of the Sharks, taking a picture. Literally just came in, thumbs up, took a picture, and he was gone. Like, all right.
He just like snap, peace out, gone.
Big gulps, huh? See you later.
Big gulps is right. You saw the nice aluminum cup he was holding there that they're doing at the arenas now. So I say arenas because they're doing the Barracuda ones at TechCU as well. So if you're not going to those games, you can get the same nice aluminum cup over there. There you go. Oh,
I can't lie. It was, a lot last.
Again, Super Producer Jason having a lot of fun with the clips that he's spent so much time on. Thank you for that, Super Producer Jason. Do appreciate that. Let's get to the Karlsson tweets and news and everything else. Please, let's get through this. So Elliot Friedman on his podcast talking about the possibility of trades with Karlsson, bringing up teams like Florida, bringing up teams like Washington. Now, a lot of people saying there's just no way, the contract's too big. But if he's talking about it, I don't know. So talk to me about it. What do you think? I know we've kind of brought it up before in the past, but it's got a little bit more clout lately, and it's the topic people are talking about. So fire away.
Well, we'll go back to the original, I guess, quote of Mike Grier talking about it. He essentially said that he's open to trading practically everyone. So the roster is open and available. The media kind of spun that as he's looking to trade everybody, that kind of thing. The Hockey Hall of Fame, the NHL had or not the NHL, but the Hockey Hall of Fame had their inductions this week. And right afterwards, the GMs have a meeting. So the very first GM meeting that Mike Grier had as the GM of the Sharks was the day or two after the draft. So he was on the job for about a week and meeting with other GMs. So it's not like he had a good foothold on the team, any kind of assessments on players, very different than now. So this was kind of his first real GM meeting with most of the GMs. I think there was only two that weren't there. Kakalainen, I think that's how you say his name, the GM in Columbus, and someone else. So was that
Jarmo Kekalainen, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
he missed it and someone else missed it. So excuse me. So he spoke with all the GMs and probably placing little bugs in people's ears because somebody's going to want Erik Karlsson, who is the number one scoring defenseman right now. So there's no question that he's obviously on the market, but at the same time, he has a no trade clause on his contract. So it's not like a done deal. He would have to be involved from the very beginning for anything to happen. But looking at, Elliot had said Florida, and I don't think he said Washington. I think that was Shane that kind of mentioned Washington. Let's take Florida at first. Who is a goalie in Florida that's making almost the same amount of money? Any guesses there, Paul? No? Sergei
Bobrovsky.
He's making $10 million with the same contract for the same amount of years is what I mean. So the Sharks, if they did 1 for 1, that would be $1.5 million saved off the cap. And
How
they would
many
have
years does Bobrovsky has left?
3 after this, 3 more years.
So you cut down the amount that you owe one player by a couple years, and you cut the 1 million or so, right?
Right. Karlsson has 1 extra year compared to him. So you'd be getting rid of 1 year, and it's $1.5 million less. But to do that, I would assume they would be trading Reimer to somebody as well. And then Bobrovsky comes in, then you have Kakinen as the backup. Not bad. That's not bad. It's a good building block. I don't know if Bobrovsky would go for it because he also has a no movement clause. So
why would Bobrovsky want to get traded to San Jose?
Because Spencer Knight is his protege who is ready to take over as a number one goalie. Young, much cheaper. He just signed a $4.5 million extension. They have $14.5 million tied up in goaltending. Do you think they want that?
Why does Bobrovsky want to get traded to San Jose? Doesn't he have a no move?
He has a no move clause starting on July 1st where he submits 16-team no trade list.
Easy. You send one of those 16 teams to San Jose and you're done. Easy.
I'm just saying, like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's a lot of that is in Bobrovsky's, it's in his wheelhouse.
It's doable. Washington is an interesting case because John Carlson, who's their number one defenseman, is the only defenseman signed through next season. They have 4 guys that are UFAs, 2 guys that are RFAs. Former Shark Matt Irwin is one of them.
You know what? I have to stop you right there because there's a comment here. Nicholas Egan, did Aaron just say he's willing to trade for Bobrovsky?
No.
Nicholas, you are very clearly a long-standing fan of the show, not only because I know your name, obviously. I mean, you've been here since like practically day one, I'm sure. But yes, Bobrovsky has been a guy on Aaron's doo-doo list for quite a long time, and he's just been clowning on him. And all of a sudden, you want him on the team. You want him in Teal.
You know why?
Explain yourself.
I don't want him in Teal because he will be the new whipping boy that everyone's going to want gone.
How about this? I have a proposal for you. How about this? How about if part of that trade coming back has Bobrovsky going somewhere else first for retention and then coming to San Jose?
I mean, sure, but the Sharks have to retain. You know, it's just it was more of just if it was a 1-for-1 kind of deal, this could work for both teams for salary cap wise. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah.
And as for Washington, Ovechkin, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Ovechkin in his career.
Okay.
He's possibly going to catch Wayne Gretzky for the most goals scored ever.
Yes.
It's insane. Karlsson would be the number one guy feeding him the puck because then they would have Karlsson and Karlsson on the team.
Yeah.
Karlsson and Karlsson. That'd be
crazy.
So
we have a
but tweet. Then Karlsson would be in the same situation as when Burns was here, like 2 top defensemen.
Right. Hey, if
again,
Washington wants to try that, then go for it.
Just spitballing that. I mean, there was no actual trade rumors that Friedman was talking about. He was literally the term he used is spitballing.
Yeah.
But I can see there's interest in the league. I think the league was waiting for a season like this from Karlsson for them to go after him, you know? Like a lot of them probably thought, oh, he's washed up. He's not going to be any good anymore because he keeps getting hurt. But speaking of how good Karlsson is, check out this tweet from Darren Stevens about this sums up, I think, how good he is. I'll read this for the podcast people. Erik Karlsson has recorded 18.4% of the Sharks' total points this season. He's got 28 points of the 152. The last NHL defenseman to have a higher percentage was Lionel Conacher at 20.2% with the 1927-28 New York Americans, who aren't even around anymore. Almost 100 years ago. Nobody's done this in 100 years, practically. That's insane. That's how much he is driving this team right now. The Sharks are the Ottawa Senators when he was in Ottawa that brought him to the finals. He's single-handedly picking them up, putting them on the back, skating them around, deking people at the blue line, and then scoring a goal with the whole team on his back. That's the Erik Karlsson that is on the trade market. It's nuts.
See, and again, when we first picked up Erik Karlsson, obviously we had that video. We were super excited about it, and then like years kind of go by, and he's been injured and everything else. But then you see when he was healthy, he had that one stretch where he had 27 points and 14, something ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. And you see that's the type of player that he can be, right? And then, as again, you kind of years go by or whatever, and it's just like, yeah, he's kind of getting older now and blah, blah, blah. That's the talk about him. And it's like, you still kind of believe that he could be that guy still. And he's having an absolute resurgence. He's looking as good this season as he was prior to the trade with Ottawa, and he basically, like you said, put everybody in the backpack. I'm carrying you all. You know what I mean? So he's kind of doing that this season. And is he worth that $11.5 million? That's kind of the big question that's been around Erik Karlsson ever since he got that contract. Is he worth that amount? And everyone will say he's absolutely not worth that amount. But frankly, again, this season, being healthy, playing the way he's been playing, not kind of sharing that spotlight with Brent Burns, I think has helped him so much. We talked about that in the last episode. And I think it's enabling him almost to be closer to that $11.5 million player that we think he still could be, right? I don't know how much more you could possibly ask from the guy right now. I mean, he's absolutely carrying the team. Like I said, if this team became a bubble team, it would be solely from the effort of James Reimer and Erik Karlsson. Those two absolutely are running this team. They are steering the boat right now. So I don't know if you can really say anything bad about Erik Karlsson right now this season. And I would love to see if anybody, chat, go ahead, fire away. Is there anything that you can really say that's bad about Erik Karlsson this season, just this season so far? Because I'm struggling. And I frankly, the only thing is you could think of is, well, he might get hurt. Like, I don't know. Aaron, what do you think?
His defensive lapses or the bad passes that get picked off in the middle, but he's outplaying all of that. Like, it doesn't matter. You remember that stat I think I threw up a couple weeks ago about him? His shorthanded time on ice is practically gone. It's ticked up a little bit. I mean, he was averaging 3 seconds, so he was pretty much not on the ice. But now he's up there a little bit more. Not much still, but he has no competition for the power play. He is the power play for almost both power play units. Not always, depending on how it works out, but the coach trusted him. In fact, Quinn met with him before the season, flew out to Ottawa to be with him and meet him, talk to him, tell him his plan for the season and how to be ready to play. And I think that did big things. And this is going to tie into a question from Debbie Smith. What are your thoughts about Quinn? I like him. I don't see anything wrong with him. I don't feel like another coach would be getting much more or any more out of the players than he is. So to me, this is a roster problem, not so much a coaching problem. What do you think, Paul?
A roster problem and not a coaching problem. Yeah.
Roster problem is in not enough depth to be better than they are.
Yeah. I mean, we had Sturm, right? Where was Sturm playing last season? Colorado on what line? 4th. Where's he playing this season? 3rd. And he looks like a second liner. I mean, that tells you about the depth of a team right there. I will say, I think they're in terms of their poise and their veteran presence, they're deeper than last season because, again, they had that revolving door. And I don't think we don't really have that this season with AHL talent constantly coming up and coming back, coming up and coming back. We've got like a more steady, reliable group, but they're also maybe playing a little bit higher up in the lineup than they ought to. And speaking of a guy, I think playing a little bit higher up than he normally would, I do want to give a little bit of praise here to Megna. Okay. Partnered with Erik Karlsson, kind of allowing Karlsson to be Erik Karlsson, right? I mean, we've seen this before with other players like Šimik and Burns, right? Šimik being that big, strong defensive presence on the blue line, not letting anybody in when Burns had like a really big, huge year for himself offensively, right? And it was the guy that he was partnered with was Šimik. These guys that kind of step up into these situations, playing alongside these superstars and playing in a much more defensive role after having not really had a whole lot of experience at the NHL level, allowing these guys to be the superstars that they are. So I do want to call out Jason Megna and say, hey, great job to you. And it's wonderful to see him coming from last season where we thought, hey, this is a guy that looks like he might have an opportunity to get some more minutes in the NHL. And then he's doing it this season and he's proving it. Hey, I belong here. So really good on him. Kind of the same situation as it was Jake Middleton from last season. Earned himself a trade out of San Jose. So, good on him. So again, I just want to say, for Megna, really great job allowing Karlsson to go out and beat Erik Karlsson and not having these defensive lapses. And a lot of people would point to Erik Karlsson when the puck goes in the net. Oh, he was on the ice when it went in. Well, he's got a partner that he works with as well. And in this case, Megna's really helping him out in that regard. So there you go. Ben has a little bit of criticism for me, though. He says Erik Karlsson is making us further away from Bedard. Yeah, okay. No, that's true. That's fair enough. Is he really, though? Because he had a 4-point night and they still lost 7-4. So I don't know.
The Sharks are still the second worst team in terms of win percentage. So, yeah, I guess they could be worse, technically. But he makes them entertaining. He makes the players better around him. It's funny. I'm looking at the standings. The Sharks are at the bottom by win percentage. Their goal differential is only -3. Anaheim is -30.
Wow.
30. That's incredible. That's a huge gap. So, and it's funny, the Los Angeles Kings have the 6th best. I guess I'm looking at points wise. 6th best. They're a -4 goal differential. So they're going to come down to earth, I think. In fact, because they played so many games, their points percentage drops them even more. They're actually
Patrick Cabral answering the question from earlier that I had about what's the negative? What can you say negative? And he says EK65 doesn't accomplish the goal to getting a high draft pick with putting the team on his back and getting to the bubble. That's his negative. Well, thank you, Patrick. Appreciate your comment there, bud. Aaron, you've got a note here about a GM meeting on Monday after the NHL Hall of Fame event. I know nothing about this.
I just talked about this.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I was reading comments. I was trying to look at comments, apparently. So there you go.
So he was meeting with
we're done with that then.
Yeah, the whole point was he was meeting with all the other GM. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Finally, bigger than Paul. Yeah, he was, the whole thing where he got to meet with the GMs. The last time he did it was at the draft, and man, you were a space cadet.
I'm just as big as you
are. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, and then we can just move on, is if the Sharks get one injury to any of their top 5 scorers, they're buried. They're done.
Yeah.
Or Reimer. Reimer goes down, this team's done. Timo Meier, Karlsson, Hertl, Couture, any of those guys, even I think Nico Sturm goes down, they're going to get buried. So they're hanging on by a thread and hoping that they don't get hit with the injury bugs, which it's a long season. We still got 62 games to go. Who knows where they're going to end up, and who else will get moved at some point, at any point.
Speaking of, never mind. Sorry. We have the upcoming games. There you go. So let's go ahead and go with these upcoming games here. Monday, tomorrow, against Ottawa. Anything special here between Erik Karlsson and Ottawa, or are they over it now?
I think they're over it, but The weird thing is Ottawa's been in the conversation about trade rumors to get Erik Karlsson, which I think is just a slap in the face unless you trade. Is it Stutzle? Stutzle, I can never say his name.
Tierney?
What?
Tierney?
No, Tierney's gone. Like their leading, or there was their leading, their number 1 center.
Why would they're not going to trade those guys back? Let's get rid of them.
No, they're not going to trade them back. No, it's the guys that they traded, that the Sharks traded, is my point.
Right.
To get Karlsson. Yeah. Anyway, someone will say in the comments. But yeah, Ottawa is not doing very well right now. They're at the bottom of the standings too, and that's kind of a surprise because they went out and got a couple of guys like Giroux, and they have 2 very good top 2 lines. Shabbat is their defenseman, who's very good, puck moving defenseman, very young. They have a good core here, and just can't get to that next level. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to them. This game will be interesting, and it's home against Ottawa. So again, this is a game that the Sharks probably should win, and probably won't, because they won't be up to play against the Ottawa Senators, who is at the bottom of the league,
Mm.
And then Wednesday we're playing at Seattle, so the day before Thanksgiving.
Do you
That'll be
think they're going to
interesting.
play Jones?
He's been playing very well, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did. I would say, yeah. I bet they play him.
All right.
And then they laugh and they go, "You're still paying this guy, and he's on our team." Thank you.
And then we laugh back and say he's on your team.
Yeah. True.
Okay, so yeah, the Wednesday at Seattle, 7 p.m. So that'll be a fun one. Then Friday against the LA Kings in San Jose. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then there's a Sunday game. So basically every other day we've got Sharks hockey here, which is nice. So the LA Kings game. Now, where is LA in the standings as compared to the Sharks currently?
It's hard to say again because they've played the most games in the league.
Right.
LA has. Points wise, they're in second in the division behind Vegas. Points percent wise, they're in third place behind Seattle. So Seattle's they have almost the same amount of wins, but in 3 less games. So their win percentage is much better. But LA is a tough team. LA's putting the pieces together. They still have their aging core with Kopitar and Doughty, but they've got some other young pieces in there that they're still a tough team and probably will make playoffs. I think they'll be close.
All right. And then Sunday's game is against Vancouver. I believe that one's also at home at Shark Tank. That's at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Vancouver now. Are they someone to be reckoned with here?
No. They're a team that is kind of like Ottawa. They have all these pieces and they can't put it together. And now it's almost like they were expecting them to be good about 3 years ago, and they haven't put it together. So they're always like a surprise where everyone starts off. They have a really good goalie in Demko. They have Pedersen, who's like their star player, and he hasn't been able to put together much. He's also kind of fragile and breaks a lot, gets hurt a lot. Another team that could be blowing up their roster at some point and kind of starting fresh again. So it's kind of surprising to see them down so far. I mean, the Sharks have 2 more games in hand, but they're tied with them in points in 15. So do you think that team is doing very well? No. Going back real quick to the LA game, that is the scarf giveaway on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. It's the scarf, the crossover with the Seals. The Golden Seals. I don't know. I didn't look. Are they wearing their jerseys that night? Is that the debut?
I think the whole reverse retro thing is supposed to be like for that entire night, and they are giving it. It's a arena wide giveaway. There's no set number on it, so anybody who shows up to the game will get a scarf. Should be easy because there shouldn't be that many people at the game. But yeah, so you'll have the scarf there. So
Hey,
Aaron, are you going to go to this game?
The last game was sold out. I'm not kidding.
The last game. Who did they play in the last game?
The New York Rangers game.
And who did they play before that?
Well, I'm just saying the Rangers.
Teams that travel fairly well and are pretty high up in the standings. Come on.
The Rangers on a Saturday night pulled in the crowd.
Okay.
It was also a giveaway they had the jersey. It was the 49ers crossover jersey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So everyone got a jersey. So it was a big thing. So I bet the day after Thanksgiving, everybody comes home from visiting family. They're going to want to go to the Sharks game, I think. I think it's going to be another sellout. And it's against LA. Beat LA? Are you kidding?
Okay.
I bet it's going to be strong. I might actually be there. I might be going to that game. Yeah.
I will make an effort. There you go.
That's might all
I can promise you.
If I do, I will hold up my scarf on Sunday.
Yes, please do. Sounds good. Bring someone who doesn't want the scarf so you can give it to me. Okay. I think that's pretty much going to do it here. Any last things to bring up about the Sharks here, Aaron? Or any comments that you wanted to bring up by chance?
They're entertaining. I think they're more entertaining this season than they were in the last 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're not winning. They're actually, I think, doing worse than they were in the last 2 seasons. But I don't get so angry when I watch them. Maybe because I'm at terms of them not being a playoff team, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm also excited about the talent that's coming in next season. in the draft.
It's funny because I think their goaltending, at least from James Reimer, has been a lot better than goaltending in the last couple of seasons. And then Erik Karlsson's looked like a completely different player than he has in the last couple of seasons. He's healthy, first of all. And we've got guys that are filling in these depth roles that are NHL caliber players and not AHL players going through a revolving door like we've talked about in seasons past. And it seems like this team should be just that much better than in seasons past. But as you've pointed out, we're just as bad. So, I mean, again, I don't know. For me, I'm more than happy with seeing an entertaining brand of hockey that keeps the business going, if you will, puts fans in the seats. As you said, they sold out the last game or last 2 games. Maybe that has more to do with the giveaways. I don't know, but I think that the brand of hockey is better than the last couple of seasons, at least, and it's definitely more entertaining to watch, a lot more fun to watch. And it seems like the personnel is a little bit better than it has been, but they're just not putting it together. So it's an interesting, weird thing. But I'm happy for what the future could possibly hold too. So I'm not going to get too upset about the way the season's going. There you go. Patrick Cabal is actually excited about these scarves. He says, I want to see those scarves. Patrick, have you not seen the scarf yet? Because they have shown it several times on TV and whatnot, at least. But they look nice. What do you think about the scarf, Aaron?
I think it looks cool. I think scarf is a cool giveaway. I feel like they haven't really done those, at least in the near past. So something different than a jersey. I think they did a little too many of the jerseys, because I look at my closet and I go, what am I going to do with these? I never wear them. I just have a whole collection of jerseys. Like here's the one that I won the other night.
The one you won.
Yeah.
Like,
it's cool, but it's also so cool that I'm like, I can't get rid of it. Like, I don't know.
I think the last scarf that I had was from a Santa Clara University Broncos mashup, one that they had the one time. So I've got that in the garage somewhere. It's pretty cool.
Because I have that one with the earthquakes.
Oh, there you go. So they've done a few of them then. The guys who really like scarves, though, are the Teal City Crew. They make their own scarves and whatnot, and they sell those as well. Again, if you're not following Teal City Crew, I would give them a look. They have some pretty cool events. And again, the raffle that they put on with the help of S27 Brewery was a lot of fun. It was a great watch party. The energy there was great. Go ahead and check them out. Let's see. That's Debbie Smith saying that's terrible. Hearing the numbers makes it real, very real, how many opportunities they will have in the future. What does she mean by that? Am I missing something? Sorry, Debbie. I'm not sure what it is you're referring to, but Super Producer Jason is now putting up the Teal City Crew website, it looks like, and he's showing off their video with their scarves and them marching and that kind of stuff. So again, they put on some nice events. Definitely give them a look. Check them out. It's a fun group of folks, and they certainly cheer hard for the team. So really good stuff there. Yep. Okay, Aaron, anything else here, or are we good to go?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Good to go. Okay. Hey, guys, thanks so much for joining us and giving us your comments and your questions. Again, if you want to support the show, feel free. You can do that through Super Chat. You can do that at Venmo, at The Fin Factor. You can also go to the finfactor.com, our website. Check out the links for all the products and whatnot. And we have all kinds of stuff there. If you'd like to support the show that way and get something in return, that's the best place to go and do that. So I guess that does it. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. For Super Producer Jason, I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
We will see you guys
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.